To be 100% honest, I've said this in a couple of videos before. This is kind of something like a video I've been a little reluctant to do for obvious reasons. I'm gonna go a little bit before the death of Mr. Benoit, even though I probably shouldn't refer to them as Mr. Benoit. I should probably refer to them as Chris or something. One of the first matches I saw him in was the Money in the Bank WrestleMania 21 match. And when I saw him jump off the ladder with the diving headbutt and hit Kane with it, I said, this guy's fucking nuts. He's gonna kill himself with doing this shit. And this was, again, when I was, like, really young, like 8 or 9. This guy's fucking crazy. Look what happened. Always been a huge Benoit fan before he did what he did. The whole technical wrestling, the taking the risk, always working with tag teams so well. Seemed like a friendly guy backstage. Whole bunch of stuff. Especially when I went back to see some of the stuff he did with Eddie and Ray and Saturn and Malenko. So much stuff he did. And he just seemed like a guy you'd like to know. Before I go on, actually, this could go past 15 minutes. Even though I'm reluctant to talk about, when you're going to get me talking about, I'm going to keep talking about it. I feel this is an important topic. I feel this is something that needs to be out. I feel I need to share my opinion on Benoit. If I'm not just going to talk here for 5-10 minutes and let it be done. So this might go the full 15 minutes. This might go past it. But I feel this is something that needs to be talked about. So if you don't know the story of Benoit, you've been living under a rock, because even non-wrestling fans were talking about this. Benoit snapped, and he killed his son by strangulation. I think it was something like he beat his wife over the head. I don't know, there's a whole bunch of stories. Never really got a full confirmed. I'm not going to go with what Wikipedia says. Wikipedia confirmed that they all three had drugs inside of them. They say that Daniel, Benoit's son, was drugged before he was strangled. I guess that's better than not being drugged at all. The kid didn't deserve to die, obviously, but life sucks. And Nancy Benoit, I don't know. So many stories have been mentioned that Benoit had the brain of an 83-year-old psychotic person. The steroids caused his brain to just simply mess up and turn to a psycho. I even heard somebody say that Benoit was getting ready for divorce. And then there's also people said that after he killed him, they said this was during a 3-day period, and Wikipedia claims that Benoit called in at the house shows and said the reason he can't wrestle at the house shows was because his family had food poisoning. And a lot of points have been made, Benoit's going to go out, kill his family, and then kill himself. So you gotta imagine something's been left in his brain. Maybe he went from sane to fucking psycho for like an hour to sane again. Maybe I don't know. The thing is about Benoit is just, if you can find on YouTube, look at some of the stuff he said. Some of the stuff that Edge said, that Ray said, that Chavo said, that Malenko said. If Eddie was still alive and he could have talked about Benoit, he would have said great stuff about Benoit. Just the things that they say backstage makes me refuse to believe that he was like a terrible person, if you kind of get what I'm saying. I mean, I'm not saying what he did was right by any means, and he should probably be in hell for it. But take nothing away from his wrestling abilities and him as a wrestler. He did it right, and he had a passion for the business. But as a human being, that's just so contradicting. The thing I know this sounds wrong, but in a way, I think it would have been better if Benoit had some sanity. If he was gonna do anything, kill his wife, and then kill himself instead of Daniel. I know that sounds really messed up, but for the most part, she's probably got to live most of her life. She had a chance at life. While I think Daniel was something like 7 years old, now he would be about 12. Still very young. 12 still very young. So he never even got to live into the 2 digits. And like I said, I know it might sound messed up, but at least Nancy got a chance at life for 40 years or so. And Daniel didn't. He had a chance at nothing to do anything with his life, to even think about it, really. And that's just kind of sad. Maybe Benoit didn't want to pay the punishment if he had any sanity. Well, if you know what Alzheimer's is, Alzheimer's kind of like you forget. You know, you have a terrible long-term memory, short-term memory. So maybe he could have killed them, not knowing who they were, and then took a good look at their face and say, "Holy shit, that's my family." And the guilt killed him. He had to kill himself because of the guilt. You know, he couldn't live with it. The thing that I'm kind of glad to know in a way is that Benoit was literally insane with all the brain studies. Because if they couldn't find anything and he just killed him to kill him, I couldn't look at Benoit the same ever. Even as a wrestler, I just couldn't look at him. But there was something wrong with his brain. Just look at all the fucking risk he took, all the landings he's took. Toothless aggression, if you will. So there is a ton of shit that, you know, that he had to put up with. Well, I guess here's something interesting. Benoit married twice, having 2 children by his first wife, Martina, David and Megan. By that, they broke up, blah, blah, blah. On February 25th, 2000, Chris and Nancy's son, Daniel, was born. So once again, he was about 7. Chris married Nancy, and it was Nancy's 3rd marriage. In 2003, Nancy filed for divorce from Benoit, citing the marriage was irrevocably broken and a cruel treatment. She claimed that he would break and throw furniture around, and she dropped the suit, as well as a restraining order filing against her husband. To be honest, if this was happening in 2003, he was breaking stuff, he was angry, she should have requested he had medical assistance, something, or he should just retire from pro wrestling by then. Because by this time, 2003, he already had, what, a plus 10 year career by far? Because he started wrestling somewhere in the late 80s, and Stampede Wrestling, and ECW, and all that shit. But if this is true, then he should have had medical assistance right away. He should have visited a doctor or something. A much needed visit, if you ask me. Because if he's like that and just completely stable, I'm sure he was more than angry if she wanted a divorce over it, because women can take a lot of shit, believe it or not. And if he was doing this and she wanted a divorce, it was either a fucking huge deal, or he was constantly doing it, kind of seemed like a dick a lot of the time, and he needed the medical treatment. And just to not get it to him was not only moronic of Nancy, it was a lot of people's fault. They noticed how Benoit was acting. Maybe he had maybe kind of like me. When I do stuff for my organization in High School Skills USA, I feel calmer. I feel more relaxed. But when I'm at home, I feel more on my toes, especially when I get in fights with my family. I'll kind of get a little more angry and shit, yeah. Not like, I don't like break furniture around or shit, but I'll be like, ugh. Like sometimes frustrated, you know? I think everyone has that too, though. But the thing is, like, I don't even know if this probably could have been avoided, because I'm sure the damage wasn't completely done in 2003, just, I'm not saying the whole 2005 ladder incident said it, but you know when Benoit did the headbutt and he's holding his head and looks like he's having a goddamn seizure in the ring. Yeah, you know his head's hurting, like, really fucking bad. Not to mention the headbutts he would do after that. I don't know. The thing I'll never try to completely bury Benoit as a professional wrestler, but I'm not gonna promote him, and I'm not gonna call him out on stuff and say he's the best motherfucking wrestler of all time. He doesn't really deserve an award or really huge recognition because of what he did. You know. I really don't honestly know what else I can say about Benoit. I can't even say rest in peace unless Nancy and Daniel can rest in peace. Whether I think Nancy's a stupid bitch or not, If she knew some of this shit was going on, and back in 2003 he had some anger issues, he should have requested a psychologist, a therapist, a doctor, something. But I guess not. I don't know. Maybe this could have been avoided. Maybe I'm putting too much into it. Maybe I just wish it couldn't have happened at all. And if Benoit had to retire early, so be it. It's just kind of sad, and you know, Benoit, if he didn't do what he did, I would easily be able to say he's in my top 5, maybe even number 1 or top 3. But I can't do it anymore just because of what he did. It's just, you can't look at the guy the same way after all the shit he pulled. I'm sorry. I'm not sure if you're still a huge Benoit fan. Most people aren't. And some even go to the point of hating him. And once again, I know this might sound sick, but even if he could have just killed Nancy and himself instead Daniel, I'd be even a little more released off of it. Because she probably had an idea what she was getting herself into at times. Daniel didn't. He was just an innocent fucking kid. And he paid for it. I really don't want to talk about this anymore. To be honest, this is giving me a sick feeling in my stomach. I don't like talking about Benoit, even though I feel it's necessary. And I could probably talk longer face to face, but just... I just prefer trying to forget about Benoit, you know. And he was a great wrestler, but that's about it. And I'm sure he was a good human during his time before all the brain trauma, but you can't look at someone the same when they killed 2 people, and if nothing else, he didn't pay for the crime, he just died. So that's about it from this video. I really don't want to talk about this anymore. You can request your wrestling tragedies in my inbox. You can do it below. I prefer to my inbox, though. You know, leaves an element of surprise, if nothing else. And I can get to it sooner, but I really don't want to talk about this anymore, guys. I'm sorry. That's about it. I had enough of Benoit.